This is the bust from which I am going to sketch. I'm going to move in here for a close-up for you. For you. Watch the diction. I have put a spotlight on it to give it some shading, which makes actually helps bring out the three-dimensionality of it. I want to mention first that if we look at the top of a head, again we're doing always an oval shape. The nose comes out like this. The nose comes out like this, and then the face goes back. It's not flat on like it looks from a front view. The nose comes out like this, and the face actually curves back like this. Here are the ears, and maybe this is a hairline. Now, of course, the forehead is going to come in here first, but actually that's the shape from the top of the head. It's kind of almost got a pyramid here. Oval. The nose, got a big nose here, like mine. But so when we draw straight on, like we're going to start now, working from our sculptured head, we start, like I mentioned in other lessons with the face, we start with egg shape. This is handheld, but you see, like you're my own eyes here. And we divide it into thirds. 1, 2, 3. Working with very light pencil strokes. Like I said, I'm using a number 2 with a nice eraser. Now we know from the beginning, after we've done our thirds, that the nose is going to take up the center third. The mouth is going to take up half between the nose and the chin, the bottom, number 3. Number 1 is the forehead. Forehead, as we were taught. The ears go right in between, not in between, yes, because number 2 is in between 1 and 3. But the ears take up the center third. Well, that gives you your proportions right away. As a matter of fact, as you sketch, you constantly kind of have to watch proportions. What is the distance between the eyebrow and the nose? The distance between this area, cheekbone, and how much space is between here, the cheekbone and the nose. Constantly referring to your model. Constantly, back and forth. Proportion, very important. Now the eye will take up the bottom third of that number 2. Oh, you remember this almond-shaped eyes. We're trying to get a likeness here too. Incidentally, when I was in high school, I remember a drawing lesson started like this. If you do a rectangle shaped like this, another rectangle, and a triangle, and then like a rectangle like this, you shade it in, you got the beginning of the face. That's really it. Add some ears. Again, we got thirds. Mouth you have to work on. That doesn't come easily. Incidentally, well, let's go back to our main sketch here. All right, there's the nose, and the mouth is going to come in between the nose and the chin. Again, the distance, you got to constantly check the distance between this side of the cheek and this side of the cheek from the nose. Get your proportions down. That's why these thirds are so important. If you want to draw a straight line and refer to that, you can. I'm going to erase that right away because I've never used it, but you can. All right. That's our basic. We got our oval. Also, I do like this, or think like this. Egg on top of a dish. That's your neck. And the shoulders come right out from there. Now the mask, as I'll keep referring to the mask, there it is again, does not have a neck, so I'm going to add one here. Let's give it a little. Now our boy-girl here, like I said, a little androgynous, because I did it from memory, so it's a bit of both. And I'm going to put my just circles in with the eyes. Now the eyes, the distance between the eyes is the distance of one other eye width, normally. Again, you constantly have to refer. Now another trick is, now keep explaining this, the upper eyelid goes over the lower eyelid, goes down below normally the bottom eyelid. Got almond shape. We're going to shade that in quickly. We're going to add a pupil right in the center, the eye of course. And if we darken that upper eyelash area, a little thinner on the men, a little thicker for women, the eyes start to come alive. Old Renaissance trick. Technique, excuse me. And that little nodule of the eye, don't forget. And they keep them straight, you know. You can use lines which I will erase eventually. So here's the nose, and the mouth, kind of two pyramids. Two pyramids was one way to do it. You split it in half, add the lower lip. Okay, and then this upper lip will be shaded in. And we've got a shadow under the lower lip. And we're off to a good start. Hairline here. We've got our proportions down pretty good. The space between the lower lip and the chin. Forehead comes in here a little closer, we notice. Thin that down a little bit. All right, I'm going to go from this sketch to the next one. Have your eraser handy. Thank you. Hold on for the next one. As I was saying, the shape of this line here will start to give you the personality. A little straight line, a little dip here to match the top of the lip. And already my face is starting to have some personality. Now we're always interested, realistically, in a three-dimensionality image for our sketch. Now I've put up, as you remember, it's in shadow. And we're going to start copying the shadows now, again, very lightly. Now I notice there's a kind of a triangular shape shadow under that. It's just a triangle under the nose. That's always used. And I see we have a little shading under the, and I'll keep going back to a little shading here under the eyebrows. Wow, that's starting to look great. I do say so myself. A little shading under the lower eyelid. And also another trick is to shade in the top. There's a little shadow cast on the iris and the pupil. And that starts to give it life. Let's put that pupil in here, a little shading under that eyelash. And let's darken in our eyebrow a little bit. Kind of a bit of an arch to it. Most eyebrows have a bit of an arch. Bring that top of that eyelash over. Remember, there's a little opening of the eye. It's a little extra oval there. Remember, the top of the eyelid comes over the lower eyelid. Keep referring back to our model. Now I see I've got a little confusion in here, so I'm going to erase that. I don't want that dark. I want this. I don't want that. I got to define the iris and the pupil here a little bit more. Darkening that upper eyelid. See, I'm getting not bad. Now, again, since our light source is from here, these indicate my light source, and that's going to throw the shadow here next to the eye, between the eye and the nose. We've got it on the slight shading of the nose from this light source. And we got a little shading under the cheekbone, and even more shading over here. Keep comparing this side to this side of the cheekbone, and there'll be a little shading here next to the forehead. Naturally, some shading under the chin. Now, this mask does not have a neck, so I'm going to give it a neck. I'm going to use my imagination and give it a top. There's plenty of room for the neck. It's like an oval, an egg on top of a dish. Here's the dish. That's the neck. Egg on top of dish. Find a little shading in here. I've got some shading under the hair, which is kind of curly, so I'm going to indicate curly here. Part in the middle, moving right along here. Right down to... A little too far there, so let's erase that real quick. Moving along here, a shadow over here, down right there into the cheekbone. Under the chin a little bit more. We'll go right down to the neck. Again, following our light source, going to throw the shadow. A little darker in there, here, nose. And see, it's starting to get a kind of a three-dimensionality to it. I got a top of the head's a little too flat, so I'm going to just extend that a little bit. You got to keep looking at proportions, and we'll extend this over here a little bit. The camera might be a little shaky. I'm hand holding it, but this only gives you the nice close up here. We're going to a little more in here, a little more in there. I'm constantly referring to my model back and forth. The shadow goes in here a little deeper under that eye, and under the lower lip we definitely have a nice shadow. And I see this shadow comes in here a little closer to that end of the mouth. Define my jawline here a little bit more. I think that jaw is a little more pointed, but so far so good. Yeah, it's coming. but the shadows helps give it a dimension. Now, this will be in shadow over here. Again, I start lightly and then I can darken it later. That hair comes out here a little bit. That will define that ear a little bit more. Anyway, it's the beginning of the sketch. So start with the oval, very lightly. Remember, thirds will help you place everything. Now the next sketch is going to be, this is kind of, we'll call a frontal sketch of the face, which is really more difficult. It's easy if we do what we call a 3/4 sketch, where there's only 1/3 on that side of the face and 2/3 on this side. The nose is here, mouth, eyes, and just that third of the face. Many portraits are done with the 3/4 views, and that's going to be our next lesson. But she has come alive a little bit. This is especially important, that to find our eyebrows. See, I can start my darkening now, as you will. And the upper lip, of course, is shaded, so I'm going to shade that in, and that'll give that even more life. Corners in the mouth, a little definition. Eraser here. That's better. Anyway, that's the beginning. Start with the oval, thirds, nose, eyes, placement, mouth between the nose and the chin. It takes some practice. Now see, we don't like that, do we? See, I can make my corrections now. The little edge of the mouth gives it life too. Let's darken that upper lip a little bit. And bring out that chin a little bit more. That's important. There you go. Pretty close. Bring out the cheekbones. Check out that side of the hair. Anyway, that's enough on that sketch. Next we do the 3/4 for you. Thank you very much. Whoops. Not bad. You've all been terrific. Thanks again. My book, Art of the Storyboard, is available at Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com. Much more detail in there. So ciao and good luck.